think that the whole fact-checking thing is such a just interesting topic for me, because if, as before, you did a search and you clicked on a website and that were it. But now surely Google has to create something relating to fact-checking, just so they don't get sued.
And
so
they can't.
Because now Google themselves are presenting the information, not third parties. So if, for instance, I search something and Google gives me something and I go ahead and follow that information and it, damages something, then, there's a whole legal ramification behind that. So I think it's a really complex thing, but I do think that in order for SGE to fully become its own entity, that some sort of fact-checking must, based on whatever, must be implemented.
And yet they can't. So the researcher a few years ago, where people started thinking Google was fact-checking, didn't read the whole article, the paper, and at the end of the paper, they said it's not feasible to fact-check. It's too expensive. We can't do it. So my favorite way to think of this is there is, fish oils, right? Like omega oils, right?
Yeah.
So omega-6s are very inflammatory and very bad for you. Omega-3s are very good for you. But in the American Heart Association in the United States and in like other medical journals, it says just take omegas. It doesn't separate out 3 and 6. The British Journal of Medicine says 6s are bad, 3s are good. So how would Google determine what was the fact? Both are highly reputable journals, medical journals that they've been published in, but the new information, the less popular published information is don't eat omega-6s, don't eat, they're called PUFAs, polyunsaturated fats, and they cause inflammation. Like we need very little in the American diet is 16-to-1 ratio, and it's supposed to be a 1-to-1 ratio, right? So 1-to-1 is fine. Your body needs that. 16-to-1, highly inflammatory, heart disease, diabetes, all these other things. How would Google do that on every fact in the world? They can't. They can do the consensus model where they're like, a lot of people wrote about this. A lot of people didn't. But let's just take ourselves out of our history. The United States, slavery in the 1800s would be a common thing, right? So if there was a Google search engine, the most common pages would be like, slavery is good, and this is why you should have slaves, right? Obviously, horrible, horrible, horrible thing. And I'm using this as an extreme example just to make it really obvious that you can't easily do consensus either, because what's true today doesn't mean it's right or true tomorrow, literally. Like AI literally changes every single day, right? Try to keep up with AI with fact checking and consensus, right? So that's why I think it is dangerous, and just like you said, legally, to be putting it on your money or your life queries, because Google judges your money or your life at the query level, not at the site level. So they know what queries are considered your money or your money or your life. Keep it off those. Why would you put it on that, right? But that goes back to my belief, which is it doesn't belong in search engines. If it's a separate tab that's like our AI engine, great, put all that there. But it's not a search engine, and what you put in that box is going. I just published a graph yesterday from an AI researcher on the comparisons on how wrong they are, and like none of them are good. They're all like over 60 to 90 compared to each other in how wrong they are, how often they're wrong. So it's, yeah, you're right. It's a big legal issue for them. And so I think as SEOs, we just have to follow and keep abreast of what they're doing to know which way to pivot, because it's going to change, and it's going to change based on ad revenues, legal issues, and antitrust issues. Those are the 3 things I think are going to be the big movers for them.